It's just a matter of time until it cools down, but the clouds will certainly help it cool down faster, and as I said before, I really feel that the bush will then become alive. Leopard's tracks from sometime between the game drives, so that means relatively fresh. It could have been 10 minutes ago, or it could have been a few hours ago, but we know it's heading in this direction. Because this road is sandy, and I know I'm fairly certain I've been checking clearly before I got here, I feel that it may have veered off. And I just want to walk back and establish where it may have veered off the road into the bush. And that way we can then circle back and start searching for this animal. Okay, so I couldn't find where his tracks veered off this road, but they did continue down the road in the opposite direction we've been coming from. So what we're going to do is just going to head to the dam because we're very close to it, and then come back and check a road in the direction that his movements is heading towards, and hopefully we'll find his tracks crossing another road, or who knows, maybe we'll just bump into him. But first I do want to check the waterhole. Thereafter, we continue the search for him. The reason why is we are close to the waterhole, and we could bump into something else there. It's not easy driving in the opposite direction to fresh tracks, but occasionally it must be done. I'd like to try and show you the tracks. So I'm going to look for a good spot. But it's not easy with the camera being mounted on the vehicle. You didn't manage to show the tracks while we were waiting there, Andrew.
I was trying, I'm not sure how they came out.
Okay, cool.
But I was trying my best.
I have no doubts in that. So Andrew thankfully did try and show you the tracks, so you may have made out a few imprints in the sand. Well, we've got a large amount of buffalo bulls, and that's probably because they avoided the other waterhole due to the fact that there was some lion there. Now, as you can see, all is very peaceful in the world of these male buffaloes, and as I mentioned earlier, they do command a lot of respect and are very difficult and dangerous animals to hunt. Would have been interesting to know when the leopard was here. I'm fairly certain it would have just come round and slunk onto the other side of this dam and had a drink with the buffalo on the other side, but I'm fairly certain it would have come close past these buffalo. But we're hoping to find something a little bit more lively than these old boys. So we're going to leave them to it and get back onto the trail of this leopard. Go ahead. Just got a question through from Josh in Ohio. Josh, I hope all is well in Ohio, and welcome on board this live safari this afternoon. Josh is interested to know, how do we establish how fresh tracks are? Now, it's important to clear up initially, Josh, that you get exceptional trackers who undergo different tests, essentially, tracking assessments. And it's not just being able to necessarily follow the tracks of an animal and find it. That's one aspect of tracking, but it's also being able to identify tracks of weird and crazy little animals, even wasps that may come down and collect mud at the edge of a waterhole. So you get trackers with incredible understanding of all the different signs on this bush newspaper, but they essentially are far better at reading into it than somebody like myself. Now, for somebody like me, who's essentially a beginner when it comes to tracking, it's an incredible art and skill that takes many years to hone. And what you look for is, you know, like I said, with these tracks, they were on top of the vehicle tracks that in all likelihood would have driven on this road this morning. I wasn't out this morning, so I can't be certain, but I'm confident that a vehicle would have driven down here, and I'm also confident in the clarity of the track. On a windy day like this, and also a very hot day, you'll be experiencing a lot of temperature changes from hot to very hot, and also the wind would affect the clarity of the track. It would blow more sandy granules into it than on a still cool constant temperature day. And the fact that these tracks look so crisp and clear helped me to guess that they are quite fresh. If they were from late last night, I would be very surprised to see tracks of this clarity and quality. But there's many signs you can look into, Josh. It's on top of vehicle tracks is one thing, but you may also be able to look into the tracks of other animals that may have passed on top of the animal you're looking for's tracks. So birds may have walked over it, and that indicates that in all likelihood there's been some time since the predator was there, then when a bird would have flown down and landed and walked there. So all those indicators help you to establish or guess how fresh an animal's tracks may be. It looked like another young male leopard, and I would hazard a guess as it to being Djuma, who's one of two young male leopards that we see, two brothers. I thought we saw the tracks of his brother earlier crossing out of our property about an hour ago. We came across those tracks on the drive. Now, he was heading towards this road, but I'm fairly certain veered off the road that we were on and may bisect this road here if he was to continue on his course of movement from before, which they typically do. That is, of course, provided he hasn't killed something in the block between the roads, and that sometimes makes it a little bit more difficult for us to track them down. The male lion walked down this road last night before heading towards the other waterhole where we saw them. Well, the good news is that these tracks have steered us towards the hyena den sites. So if we don't come up with any tracks of the leopard, we'll be able to just pop into the hyena den sites and be able to sit quietly and listen. And we may hear alarm calls from other animals that may see the leopard on the move, provided it does move into this general area. Stations. I wasn't out this morning, so not sure exactly what is going on regarding tracks, but Mkonzo for the young Madoda Ingwe head east away from Treehouse Dam on Savage's track. They appear to cut north off that road before getting to Weaver's Nest Junction. Nothing's come out on Weaver's Nest. Is anybody at the Misikaya or Philemon's Dip? So, this is the entrance to the hyena den site. So in a few moments, we will either know whether we will enjoy an afternoon with some hyena and their cubs, or if the cubs are still down the hole and the mothers have avoided coming to nurse them until it cools down. Go ahead. Just got a question through from Tiger on Twitter. Good afternoon, Tiger, and welcome on board. I hope you're enjoying your afternoon with us. Tiger's interested to know which animals or which predators hyena have to be careful of. Well, we'll start off with their own species, other hyena. They will compete with one another for territories, so inter-clan disputes are a reality. And then the biggest concern would probably be from lion. It's the largest animal that can quite easily cause damage to hyena, but depending, just heard something rustling in the, there's a snake-like rustle in the leaf litter here, but the leaf litter is not easy to spot things in. I'm just going to stop for a second. That could have been a lizard, or even a small ground-dwelling bird like a francolin. But always worth double-checking. Well, there's just a rustle in the leaves, and maybe it's simply because there were snakes on my mind from chatting about them earlier that was my go-to, but could have been anything squirming its way through the undergrowth. Back to Tiger's question though, sadly the den site's not active, and you'll notice the burrows are empty. But lion, Tiger will probably be the most realistic threat in general to hyena. But leopard will kill hyena cubs when they get the chance. This very clan of hyena that live in these burrows were attacked by a wild dog just 3 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. And the wild dog came out on top this time, but wild dog are a lot smaller than hyenas, so depending on numbers, and that goes for all the inter-predator confrontations, it does depend on numbers. A huge clan of hyena, and you do get huge clans of hyena, can easily outcompete and even kill lions if there's enough of them. So it's often a numbers game, but the main predators that they need to watch out for are lion, leopard and wild dog, as well as their own species, the hyena. Cheetah, on the other hand, not likely to cause trouble with hyena or any of the other predators. They're not built for confrontation and typically avoided at all costs. The hyena den site is not active. So now what I'm going to do is I have followed Djuma, a young male leopard who I believe is the owner of the footprints we saw a little bit further back. And I have followed him once through this block, and he may have taken the same path or a similar path that he's taken before. And that would have brought him out on this road to our left where we'll go and look now. So we can read into previous habits or previous sightings of the animals, but it's not to guarantee that they're necessarily going to take the same path, but it can be useful and worth certainly exploring whether in fact he did or didn't take a similar path to last time. Failing this plan, we will turn around and head back on the same route, because I do feel it is worth double checking. even though we may not see him now, he could pop out at any given stage. This is definitely worth double checking the hotspot areas where he could pop out, and we will do that slowly on our way back towards those lion, because it is beginning to cool down now, and with a little bit of luck we may get them to perform for us. Go ahead. Just got a question through from Tony in the Netherlands. Good afternoon and welcome. Tony's interested to know what would happen if one of the hyena mothers, now there's two mothers at that den site with two different litters of cubs. If one of the mothers was killed and her cubs were orphaned, what are the chances of another female or the other mother adopting the other cubs? It's hard to say. It has been noted before, but it will vary on each individual hyena and the scenario. For example, if the mother of one cub dies and another female only has one cub of her own to raise, she may well accept raising a second cub from another mother. But if she's already got two, that may be too much, and she may simply not want to take on the risk of trying to raise three animals that may all die, and rather consolidates her efforts in just making sure she raises two properly. So there's no yes or no answer to that, but it has been known for them to raise other youngsters. But it's not very common, and what I can tell you is that at this den site, only the mother of her particular cubs will allow them to feed. When the other cub comes nearby to the mother that is not its own, she often snaps at them and chases it away. So there's certainly no sharing of nursing at the moment, and that you may read into and say, well, if they're not sharing now, why would they want to share when there's even more pressure on them? But that again could just be the specific clan, Tony. Finally, the cool relief of the afternoon is beginning to set in, and it's a magical time to be out here. The wind's still blowing, but thankfully the air is becoming less oven-like and much cooler and pleasant. Afternoon, Ryan. Did you get an update? Humble apologies. Oh, welcome to your eastern neighbours. Not too much going on, but the two Matimbas and one Mafazingala line up just south of Twin Dams Dam Wall. And there was tracks of a young Madonna Ingwe, looks like possibly from between drives, heading east on Savage's track towards Weaver's Nest, but I think they may have veered off north of the road, but could well have veered south, I guess. But we're generally heading east. Okay, copy. Good luck. Sightings with it. This would be a good time to find his tracks walking down the road, because then we would know that he's walked down this road just a few minutes after we've been here. We drove down here about 15 minutes ago and there was no sign of him. So if we do find tracks now, then we know for certain that we are hot on his heels. If we don't, well, then we could be in the completely wrong place. I'm going to check another area. He could have veered off south off the road that he was heading east along, but I was inclined to believe that he was tending more to the north. I think I could be imagining things, but termite mounds are very good places for leopards to lie, and there was just a dark figure on the other side of this termite mound, which is just an extension of the mound itself and therefore a false alarm. But right at the top you may notice just a dark patch that was the one. That's what got me, behind that little green bush. So I thought that could have been the leopard's head. Worth double checking. Otherwise you end up being frustrated for not making sure for the rest of the drive and wondering if that was the leopard you actually drove past. Which is, and the fact that we have checked all the roads in the area where that leopard could have popped out, it makes sense for us now spend some time with these line. We, in all likelihood, going to be a little bit early, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. They are close to our southern boundary, so that if they do get up and move, for those of you who have just joined, it's 2 males and thinking about romancing, and the second male is simply staying a safe distance away from his more dominant coalition buddy as he goes about trying to pursue the lioness. Mark was with them this morning. There was no mating going on, and the female was actually having none of the male's attention and acting like he wasn't even there. So that was the update from this morning. Things can change during the course of the day, but not highly likely that they would all of a sudden start mating this evening, but there is a chance. So, small prospects of mating lions, better prospects of hearing them vocalize, I'm hoping. And since I've been here at Djuma, which is coming on 5 months now, I have yet to have a really good close-up lion roar. There was one male that walked past the vehicle the other day, but it wasn't ideal. He was a little bit far away. So I'm hoping that I can get to show you and also let you hear the intensity of a roar when we are up close to them. I know Brent has and Mark has had some great quality vocalizing. Copy, thanks for that update. There's been a slight amount of movement. But not very much. This male was lying on his back earlier, basically in the same position. There was a lioness beyond this male earlier, but I can't seem to see her now. She was tucked into the vegetation, so it could simply be hidden in some thick bush that we cannot see. But then the male over to our right has also moved, and we'll just show you, he's moved a considerable distance relative to the one on the left. He was lying up negative, Ryan. It is inactive when I was there about 15 minutes ago. Copy. I don't think anyone else is joining. It's just myself and Ruan here. So unless there's somebody else coming, I'm sure you can come straight here. So the male we're looking at now is the less dominant of the two, and he's the one that has to kind of embarrassingly lurk in the shadows. But thankfully the more dominant male has now poked up his head, and you get an idea of how majestic they are when they do have their head up. Look at that mane, and he is an absolute brute. I'm guessing he's going to flop his head down in the next second or two, but I'm hoping he could prove me wrong. He appears to be lifting his nose into the wind, smelling the air, and they will use their nose to detect prey and also the lion. It could simply be that the scent of, well, there's a marabou stalk. Try and get it quickly, Andrew, if you can. I know it's not going to be easy, but it's worth it. It's a massive bird, and there it goes, called the marabou stork. We see them very seldomly, and well done, Andrew. It's battling in this strong wind, but a bird that I've yet to share with any of you since we've been here. So well done, Andrew, for managing to get a glimpse of it. Could hear it flapping as it came over, and I didn't know what to expect as it popped over the little bush. Anyway, at least you got a glimpse of the marabou stork there, and that is again a bird that I've yet to see here on Djuma, and that's in 5 months. Hence the excitement and the desperation to get Andrew to have a shot at trying to.
I wonder if you should go a meter back.
Yeah, I can.
Maybe I can just get the sunset quick.
Cool.
Sorry.
No. Andrew's seen a sunset opportunity, so we are going to roll back a meter or two. I think he is. How's that?
That's good.
I think he's done a great job here. This is a marula tree silhouette with the sun setting in the background, and what a perfect way to enjoy the sunset whilst waiting for the lions to wake up. Go ahead. Copying you 1 out of 5, but try again slowly. I'm battling to copy messages coming through from the final control, but it sounds like either Judith or Susan, so whoever you are, whichever one you are, you will know, and I'll let all of you know the question that either Judith or Susan is asking, and it's got to do with, would this male, or how long would the less dominant male lion hang around while the more dominant male gets lucky with this lady? And in all likelihood, for the whole time that they are mating, if it does lead to that, the less dominant male will simply lurk in the shadows. That's often been the case in terms of sightings that I've experienced in the past. So they often just hang around and wait for their coalition member to do what exactly needs to be done, and that can take 3 to 5 days if they do start to mate. But of course there's a chance that he could peel off and join up with other members of this coalition. There are 4 members in this coalition as far as I'm aware, but they have split up into 2 groups of 2, if I'm correct. So he could head off and join up with other male lion. Go ahead. Just got a question through from Julia in Houston. Good afternoon, Julia, and welcome on board. Julia is interested to know whether the mating process will help induce ovulation, and it certainly will, but coupled with that, lionesses have the uncanny ability to be able to actually withhold ovulation for many days until they do find the right mate to mate with. So the sun is slowly dipping below the horizon, and hopefully that will cause these lions to become a little bit more active. But like I say, on hot afternoons they typically take it easy and wait for things to really cool down before they get up and active. I'm hoping they're going to get up and head straight for a drink as their first stop. Go ahead. Just got a question through from Julie asking where the lioness has gone. So let's find out, Julie. I'm not too sure. Could be somewhere in that thicket, but I'm just going to get us into position. Oh, I'm going to have a quick look in there with my binoculars. No immediate sign of her. Ron, did you see the lioness when you came in? Okay, interesting, because she was lying up behind this male closer to the dam wall, very close to him. Earlier we could see her from where we are now, but no sign of her now. I might drive around the dam and have a look. She's hiding under another bush. So we will head off and see if we cannot find this lioness. I'm hoping she hasn't left these males. It could well have. I'm guessing though that she's just sleeping nearby. So we will loop around and I'll be highly disappointed if she has back off without the males knowing. I find it highly unlikely that she would have managed to, because they do after all have hearing. So I think the male would have heard her move off, and he has been following her very closely this morning, I'm told. It could simply be that the vegetation's just a bit too thick and she may be lying up in an area that we just simply cannot see her. That would be my guess. Well, the other vehicles had no luck. I've just motioned the same no luck signal. So, search continues. Just got a question through from Chris in Australia. Good afternoon, Chris, and welcome on board with us. This is interesting to know what pride this lioness is from. I can't be certain, but it's believed that it's one of the Styx lioness. Sorry. Find her. She is in the same pocket where we left her. She's just literally inside it. So the guys have managed to find her. She hasn't done her, and she'll this thicket a little bit later, Chris, and then you'll be able to see her for yourself. But yeah, I'm told from the Styx Pride, and as far as I'm aware, we only see it split up into various different parts, the Styx Pride, and there's a few separate groups. I think there's 3 pairs of lioness, all sets. So that is apparently who they are, which pride they are from, but it's very difficult to distinguish, especially individual lioness that could have come from any pride and distanced themselves from their own pride in order to mate. They don't expect the rest of their pride to join in. Just going to creep a little bit further forward in case this one does lift its head up. We might have a half decent view. Sorry, Andrew, to reposition. Go ahead. Ryan, come in. Apologies, the third vehicle's just arrived here, just to let you know. With us. Remain is interested to know whether this lioness may deem both these males unsuitable for her and head off and look for other males. She could well, but if they were the only two male lion left in the area, I think her natural will to procreate will override her taste for any certain male. She'll take the best possible option in order for her to reproduce. Failing there to be any other options, I think she would settle for them, but it may very well be that she doesn't like these two and heads off to find coalition members from another area. It's very difficult to pinpoint answers like that, Ramey, because each individual lioness will be different and each encounter with males will be different, even though there may be patterns that are formed. That's one thing that always keeps us busy out here and keeps things in perspective, is that we can never be sure what they will do. So you can see this male occasionally opening his eyes and just checking us out. Now, I know this may not be the most entertaining of lion sightings the world has ever seen, but that could very well change, and on safari occasionally you just do have to be patient. They will get up at some stage, and when they do, it will be a sight to behold. So that's why I don't want to go anywhere, and even though it doesn't look like anything's happening now, they could at any moment get up, and I'm guessing the lion out of these three that's going to induce a little bit of movement would be the lioness, and sadly she's tucked away in a thicket at the moment, so she's our best bet to getting these guys up on the move, but even she's asleep. Anyway, that could change, and there still is time before this broadcast for things to heaten up a little bit. Copy that, that's great news. Thank you for that update. So Aubrey's just got a hold of me on the radio and let me know that he found the giraffe that he was looking for, but it's on a far off property, far too far away from us to get to. But he thankfully eventually succeeded in finding the giraffe, and there's not many around now. We'll probably be seeing more leopard than giraffe and zebra at the moment, so it's a very interesting statistic, because it's not common to see an animal as an elusive and as a leopard more than an animal like a zebra or a giraffe, but that's area specific here in the Sabi Sands. There's not very many open plains and clearings, and that is the habitat that zebra and wildebeest like, so naturally they don't spend time here because it's the wrong habitat for them. Okay, well, I think we can afford to go on a 10-minute loop about. I'm not sure how much longer I can handle watching these sleeping beauties. So we will do a loop around, see if there's anything else interesting happening, and then return a little bit later. Just going to pull into the bushes here so Ryan can get past. So I saw he is on his way in. Or has he done the same thing? No. So, just a 10-minute loop around the block, like I say, and then we'll continue. Afternoon, Ryan. How's it, everyone? Go ahead. Just got a question through from Nicole here in South Africa. Good afternoon, Nicole. And Nicole is interested to know whether lioness synchronize their breeding. And there are certain people and textbooks that may indicate that. I personally think that it's more likely that lionesses from the same pride in a similar health situation will come into season at a similar time through default more than through planning. If they've been feeding on a lot of good kills and have been successful in hunting, and so essentially just been going through a lucky patch, then yes, certainly it would make sense that they are both in the same physical condition to therefore come into season. So that's how I look at it more likely, and I've often seen it's not every time that you'll see lioness from one pride all come into season together. So it's a tricky one. Why would some lioness decide to and others not decide to? Because it's certainly not guaranteed that every lioness and a pride will come into season at the same time. And this is a perfect example. If this is in fact a lioness from the Styx pride, we know for certain that there's two of them. So why aren't they here together? And even if she's not from the Styx pride and she's from another pride with even more lioness, then why aren't there more hanging around? So I think it's more through default than anything else. But there are certainly some people that believe strongly that they do purposefully coincide. Ryan, come in. Please let me know if they show any signs of life. Copy, thanks. So I've just asked Ryan to keep us updated if the lions wake up. And that way it allows us to continue searching for other things. Not just because there's lion in that area quite close by to us, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be a leopard or elephant or anything else wandering around here. So that is what we are hoping for. We will keep close to the lion so that if they do show any signs of movement, we can carry on back to enjoy that. hunt something if the opportunity presented itself. And yes, I think there's certainly a chance that they would. They're not full-bellied, and they are opportunistic animals, and any easy opportunity they will certainly try their luck at. Pass up an easy meal. So provided something did come close enough to them, they would certainly enjoy. I guarantee you. But there is less likelihood when they are mating. But James, these are not mating, they are simply courting. They are not mating yet, not that we're aware. So they're just courting. Copy that. Just got a question through from Wild Dog Pup. Good evening, Wild Dog Pup, and welcome on board with us. Wild Dog Pup has noticed that there seems to be less animals around, like giraffe and zebra, than there was in the summer months. And most animals, or all animals, their primary is the simple, straightforward answer to that question. There was food that was good for zebra and giraffe at the summer months, but now it makes sense for them to be elsewhere. Ryan for Scott. Just wondering what the vehicle situation is there at the moment. Copy, has anything changed? Okay, copy. Thanks. Well, it looks like, and stay with them till the end of the broadcast in the hope that they may just get up. Still asleep. I don't want to miss this opportunity because if they do the direction, I will be furious. Affirmative, it's my only option, it appears. Okay, copy, thanks. Don't want to miss that if they do. The male lion's just got up and appears to be walking towards. No, I guess it's simply because the lioness is up and she's off to the right of him. And hopefully they will come out into the open and ideally have a drink. And she is now turned around, I think obviously trying to get away from him, and now he is continuing to follow her. I'm just going to wait a moment or two and establish what exactly they decide to do rather than trying to race around. Oh no, that's not good. No. Back to square one. At least we did see him up, even though it was bushy and blurry with all of the twigs in the way. But I certainly wasn't expecting to see that. The other male appears like it may be providing a little bit more. Right, yeah. So as we were getting into position, this individual rolled over from one side to another.
Good. I'm just going to come pause. Yeah. Sorry, Scotty.
No worries, Ryan. Ryan's just making his way out of the sighting, and that is why Andrew shot the camera up into the sky. We didn't see anything interesting flying over, sadly. Have a good evening, buddy. Cool. Cheers, everyone. Whoa. Is it just us now, or is there still another vehicle?
I think it's just us.
Okay. So now we are left in peace with the line, just ourselves, so that's nice. And I was just laughing at Andrew. He did a hilarious pose as some of the guests on the vehicle that drove past took a photograph of us. Left. So if anybody knows how to do some kind of a dance, go for a drink and then roll for us.
All in 3.5 minutes.
All in the next 3.5 minutes. So failing that, we will certainly come back and have a look for them in the morning. We can presume that they are going to move a fair distance from where they are this evening. And Unfortunately, we are very close to our southern boundary here, and we are basically on it, and not far from our western, so and catch a buffalo at the dam right behind us. That would be good. Anyway, from the Wild Earth crew this afternoon, Andrew on camera, Nikki in final control, and myself, Scott, driving you around. I hope you've enjoyed the afternoon. It hasn't been the most action-packed, but it's always good being out here, and certainly by spending more time out here and by you joining in on more safaris, it increases your chances of seeing the incredible stuff, and we do get to see some incredible stuff, and those are the moments we hope for. So let's hope that something special happens in the next few minutes. If not, we'll see you all in the morning for the next safari.